We are just hours away from the start of NFL free agency for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and today I'm going to be answering your questions on the Pittsburgh Steelers as we approach free agency here in 2026. Now, before we get into the questions today, you guys can check out my perfect free agency plan for the Pittsburgh Steelers, where I make a number of different signings. In that video, I break down my perfect offseason plan, what I would do if I were the Steelers, if I had my pick of the litter. And then also I tell you what I think the Steelers will actually do in free agency this year. I'll put the chip to that one in the top right if you want to check out that video. But as always, make sure you guys click that subscribe button here on Steelers Talk for all of our free agency coverage over the next week. We're going to be live pretty much all day, every day this week, especially the first 3 days of free agency. Hopefully we get a solution to our quarterback situation sooner rather than later. Same thing goes for our wide receiver 2 situation. So make sure you guys click that subscribe button to never miss a signing, never miss a trade, never miss a cut here on Steelers Talk. $5 coming in from Steeler Kev says, do we need to add 4 wide receivers and 2 running backs this offseason? I think with wide receivers, you probably add at least 4. I've heard estimates up to 5 new wide receivers being added to this group. Mike McCarthy likes to use a lot of 3 wide receiver sets, and he likes to use different types of wide receivers. So I think, in years past, we've seen 5 and 6 wide receivers get brought onto the roster under Arthur Smith, and he's had a higher emphasis on tight ends. Obviously, with Mike McCarthy, I think that philosophy is going to change a bit. So I do think that there will be multiple additions to the wide receiver room, probably 2 in free agency, and then anywhere between 2 and 3 in the NFL draft, okay, is probably what I would project for this offseason. In terms of running backs, I would say for sure 1, but probably 2 running back additions. One where it's going to be in the mix to be getting playing time, and then another one will probably be more of a depth signing, in my opinion, because you've got Jalen Warren, you've got Caleb Johnson, who I don't think the team wants to give up on yet. I think they bring back a Kenneth Gainwell, maybe they bring in an Aaron Jones or something like that to be their RB2, but then whoever comes in at that RB4 spot is going to be more depth than anything. $5 from Heath Miles says, I did not like Kenny G at the start of last year. I have changed. Why are we going to let him walk? He doesn't seem like a big risk to me. Well, I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think the Steelers do want him back. I don't think they're just letting him walk. Like they're not interested in bringing him back. Omar Khan, the Steelers GM, has said, we want him back. But what I think has happened here, Heath, is that the Steelers have offered Kenneth Gainwell a contract that they're comfortable with. I don't know what number that's at, $4 million, $5 million, $6 million. And whatever, that number is, it's not lining up with what Kenny's representation wants out of this free agency. Like maybe they want $8, maybe they want $9 million per season, because this is really Kenny's opportunity coming off a team MVP season, coming off a year where he really showed what he could do. This might be his best opportunity to really cash in for his future and his family's future. So I do think he probably ends up going to the highest bidder, and I think that he feels like he owes it to himself to see who that highest bidder is. So we'll see how much the Steelers value him. We'll see if another team values him more. But I'll tell you this much, man. If you want Aaron Rodgers back next year, you might want to bring back his favorite weapon from last year in Kenneth Gainwell. $2 from Robert Locke says, what do you think of the Crosby trade, LMAO? I think the Ravens overpaid for him on paper, but I understand why they did it. They just don't know how long of a prime they have left in Lamar Jackson. I don't see Lamar as somebody that's going to, be playing into his 40s the way that Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers have been able to do. I think that he's going to be somebody whose skill set expires rather quickly in the NFL after he turns 30. And, he's approaching that date really quickly. So they wanted to bring in somebody that immediately gives them a number 1 caliber, alpha-type edge rusher. And I think the biggest question with Crosby is, can he stay healthy? Because when he's on the field, he's an amazing football player. You're pairing him up with some really good young pieces in their secondary, and Kyle Hamilton and Nate Wiggins, among others. And, if he stays healthy and that defense and all their top-end players stay healthy, this is going to be a dangerous football team. But with a team as top-heavy as the Ravens' roster is, if they just get a couple of injuries or if some of these players start to regress, then it's not looking good for the Baltimore Ravens moving forward, and they won't have first-round picks the next 2 years to refill the coffers, as it were, to bring in, high-end young talent into this roster. So it's definitely an all-in kind of move for the Baltimore Ravens. We'll see if it pays off for them, but all I got to say is you better keep these star players healthy. And keep them healthy consistently. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comment section. Who are you hoping that the Pittsburgh Steelers land an NFL free agency or trade for over the next week or so? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section for today's pinned question. Just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Prize Picks. While I tell you about our sponsor today, let me know a move that you're hoping the Steelers and Omar Khan pulls off this week. Now let's have word from our sponsor today at Prize Picks. And Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million members and sign up today. PrizePicks invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect, and you can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. PrizePicks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure, and when my picks hit, I can get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday, where every Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineup. So you guys can download the PrizePicks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup when you download the PrizePicks app today. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. All right, next question here coming in from Theodore, who says, if Seumalo leaves, who are your top targets to replace him? Well, there's a number of different targets that they could potentially go after. I think somebody to keep your eye on is John Simpson. He was the left guard with the New York Jets a couple years ago when Rodgers was there, and he was a highly graded guard for them. Okay, and he was one of the bright spots on that offensive line. So something tells me that, Rodgers might have good feelings towards John Simpson, and he's expected to be relatively cheaper, like $8 million per season over like a 2-year contract. That might be what the Steelers are looking for at this point if they're not willing to give Seumalo 14 or whatever he's expected to get here this offseason. So he would be in the mix. I would say keep an eye on Brock Hoffman, former swing interior offensive lineman for the Cowboys that was brought in to Dallas under Mike McCarthy. Dave Edwards from Buffalo, another good starting left guard. Joel Bitonio, the Cleveland left guard over the last several seasons. He was the best player on that O-line last year for them, and he should come cheap. So there's some options out there that the Steelers can certainly consider. Certainly expect the Steelers to add a starting left guard before the end of free agency. $2 from Trumpers is, what about Geno Smith? It wasn't him, it was the Raiders. There's some truth to this. Football is still a team game, and I think a lot of people attribute team success to quarterback value or quarterback, skill, and sometimes that's just not exactly the case. If that were the case, Sam Darnold's the best quarterback in football right now. Jalen Hurts was the best quarterback in football 2 seasons ago. I think we all understand that that's probably not the case, right? Because, sometimes you get paired with an awesome defense and you're under contract, on a rookie deal sometimes. And, sometimes, your GM just does an amazing job putting some great players around you. You got the right pieces and the coaching staff around you, and everything just clicks, right? And the exact opposite happened for Geno Smith last year, where he's not capable of elevating a roster. So he needs just a phenomenal supporting cast around him to have success. And he had terrible offensive line play, no run game, pretty much no receiving weapons. His best one, Brock Bowers, was hurt for a big chunk of the year. A terrible defense, head coach that kind of lost the locker room, an offensive play caller that didn't know what the fuck he was doing. I'm sorry, Chip Kelly. But it wasn't good for the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, Geno, I think, maybe lost a little bit of his fastball, and the arm strength decreased a little bit. He is getting older. And then also, I think he had a lot of very bad overthrows and some really bad decisions with the football. But when you put a quarterback in that kind of situation, it's not going to be good for pretty much anybody. So if you bring in Geno, like if you lose out on Malik Willis, Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray, kind of the top end options for the Steelers this year, I wouldn't mind bringing in Geno for a vet minimum contract as a veteran bridge guy to compete with Will Howard or any other younger quarterbacks they bring in here. He does have established chemistry with DK Metcalf. I still think he has enough arm strength to play in the AFC North. And maybe with a better situation, kind of like Rodgers was better with the Steelers last year than he was with the Jets, maybe Geno could be a lot better here in Pittsburgh than he was with the Las Vegas Raiders. I think Geno's like more of a 4th, 5th, or maybe even 6th best option here. But, if you start losing out on these top options, you have to go with somebody, and Geno Smith might be that answer. Logan Fligman says, if we have extra cap, what do you think about Kenneth Walker III? Doubt it. Really doubt it. I think he's going to be somebody that goes tomorrow, and he's probably going to go to like the Kansas City Chiefs or go to the Washington Commanders. I just highly doubt, especially because the Steelers have Jaylen Warren, and Jaylen Warren is one of the most underrated running backs in the league, period. Like, he is a legitimate number one option. And, like, the Steelers don't need Kenneth Walker III, especially at the ginormous running back contract he's going to sign probably tomorrow. He's going to agree to with either the Chiefs or the Commanders. So, for me, Kenneth Walker III, not on my radar. Don't really believe the report from Filipponi, the report that he is on their radar. I think they want to get a running back too, either bring back Kenneth Gainwell, bring in Aaron Jones, maybe bring in Rico Dowdle. That'd be like the biggest name I could see them bringing in, but just because of his connection to McCarthy. But no, I don't think Kenneth Walker is a legitimate option for the Steelers this year. Make sure you guys click that thumbs up icon if you haven't already. If you are a real one, I really do appreciate your guys' support. And the real ones know, clicking that thumbs up icon, it takes a half second of your time, and it helps boost the YouTube algorithm for this particular video. Gets this video in front of more Steelers fans, yeah, it just really helps out the channel, helps us get more eyeballs, more views, more subs, all that different stuff. So if you want to help us out today, click that thumbs up icon. Then we got Omar Khan artist here. Says Trey Lance with the McCarthy connection seems to be an option they are looking at. I agree, but I don't necessarily think as a starter. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe Mike McCarthy loves Trey Lance and thinks he can start in this league. He did show a lot of good things in the preseason last year with the Chargers, okay? And he showed some pretty decent things with McCarthy in Dallas at the end of the 2024 season, okay? So Trey Lance is one of those interesting rehab quarterback possibilities that are out there because he still has all the physical tools that got him drafted in the top 3, right? He's a good athlete, really strong arm, really talented player, great size, great person, all that stuff. It's just he didn't play a whole lot in college, didn't have a whole lot of attempts, and then he had the year off, and then he had to go play for the 49ers, gets injured, takes another year off essentially, and then, he wasn't very good his first year in the NFL after essentially 2 years off in a row. So I don't think that necessarily surprised me because I didn't think he was ready to play right away in the NFL, and he ended up moving on, and he hasn't really gotten an opportunity to be a starter since. So, would it completely shock me if they bring him in? No, especially as a backup. Let's say Aaron Rodgers comes back on a 1-year deal. I could see them cutting Mason Rudolph and bringing in Trey Lance on a $3 to $5 million contract over 2 years or something like that. And they can see between Trey Lance and Will Howard which one of those guys looks better, in preseason, in practice this year, and who's the future. And if the answer is none of them, you can just draft a quarterback in 2027. But I think, going with Trey Lance as your starting quarterback week 1 would certainly be a risk if the Pittsburgh Steelers go down that path. DK Edits says, if you were to guess, what do you think the biggest move the Steelers will make this year? Well, I think the biggest move that could possibly be on the table, this is not me making this prediction, by the way, but I think the biggest move that could potentially be on the table is a trade for A.J. Brown, okay? Because right now it seems like the Eagles kind of want to let go of A.J. Brown, and they're asking for a first and a second round pick. At the time of me recording this video, that has not been met. So, if the Eagles can't find anybody that's willing to give up a first-round pick for him, could they maybe consider a second-round pick from the Steelers this year and Alex Highsmith, somebody that is a really good player on a value contract at a position of need for the Philadelphia Eagles? That's what I would be offering. If I was Omar Khan, I'd be on the phone with Howie Roseman right now saying, hey, this is my offer. You can take it or leave it. Not really, it's really no skin off our ass here if you say, no, we're not giving you our first-round pick. Our offer is our second-round pick this year and Alex Highsmith in exchange for A.J. Brown. And pairing him back up with DK Metcalf, Ole Miss teammates, would be amazing. It would be a top 3, if not the best receiver duo in the league immediately. It would certainly be quite a draw for these free agency quarterbacks that are going to be available over the next week or so. And you can afford it. You can. The cap hits are not that high for A.J. Brown. It's like a $15 million cap hit next year if you trade for him. It's like $18 million the next year. And the cap goes up by $20, $22, $25 million a season at this point. So, it's a very manageable contract if you trade for him. He's a top 5 receiver in the game currently, in my opinion. Like, if the Steelers have an opportunity to make this happen, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but if they have the opportunity to do it, I might take that chance if I'm Steelers GM Omar Khan. So it's your turn. Let me know down there in the comments section. What's a bold prediction that you have for the Steelers in free agency this year? Are they going to sign Malik Willis tomorrow? Are they going to trade for A.J. Brown? Is there going to be something else? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section, and that'll be it for today's mailbag, guys. I greatly appreciate you guys stopping by here today. Of course, we're going to have extensive live free agency coverage all week long on this channel, so if you guys want to see every cut, every signing, every trade that Omar Khan makes this week as we build the 2026 Pittsburgh Steelers this offseason, make sure you guys click that subscribe button. And until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers.